Coming up on today's episode of Parasport Nation, We Were Broncos debuted last night on AMI TV. It follows the journey of Ryan Straz post-accident, injury, and his journey discovering the world of parasport and his internal journey. We have him on the show to talk more about it. Let's get started.
Welcome to Parasport Nation with Alex Smyth and Nathan Clement.
Welcome into Parasport Nation. I'm your host, Alex Smyth. As always, I am joined by co-host Nathan Clement, and we have a special guest joining us today. Producer of the program, Jeff Ryman's going to be here as well. He's talking a bit about behind the scenes stuff, and plus wanted to bring him in because we've done 50 or so episodes of this show. We haven't had him on in front of the camera. It's about time he gets his due. So Nathan, first off, hello, welcome into the show.
How's it going, Alex? And how's it going, Jeff? It's great to have you on with us today.
50 plus episodes, and this is my first appearance. I'm loving it, and you guys are doing a fantastic job, and just can't wait to share all the parasports that are going on right now in the world.
Okay, and we will slip you those $5 after the show is over so that our bosses are well aware that you were happy with the work we are doing. Part of the reason I wanted to bring you on, Jeff, on this episode, there's a lot happening in the parasport world, tons that you can even kind of peel back the curtain a bit when we start discussing things about what we're doing and how we're trying to cover this as a show. But before we get to any of the parasport news, we're also, all three of us, big football fans supporting different teams. The news came out recently that the Olympic flag football in LA is going to feature NFL athletes. So I want to get your guys' takes on this, what you're looking forward to, what you're excited about, and who do you think are going to be some of the stars to look out for with Olympic flag football at the LA Games. Jeff, you're our guest. I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think speed is going to be killer in flag football. I'm thinking Tyreek Hill. I'm thinking Jamar Chase, Lamar Jackson. I think those guys are really going to have a very fun time in LA, and it's in the US. What better place to debut flag football than in the United States itself, in LA? So I think the speed is really going to be showcased. The US is just going to dominate. I'm sorry. It sucks to say. I think the rest of the world's really going to be in for it. It's kind of not so much in basketball. I mean, USA, they had the dream team. They had a really phenomenal team in Paris, obviously. But at least there was the Frances. There's always the Spains. There's the Argentinas. Heck, there's Canada in basketball, but in terms of flag football, I just don't think other nations are quite there yet. Maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised, but I really think the speed is going to kill. So I think Tyreek Hill is going to have a heyday come 2028 if he's still playing. This is still 3 years away. There's still going to be players that haven't even gone to college yet that potentially could be on the team if they really sweep everybody away. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be really, really fun, Nathan.
I'm a big Seahawks fan now. I don't know if Sam Darnold's going to be the starting quarterback for the U.S., but I do think there's so many great players that can create an interesting dynamic. There's already talks of Kyler Murray representing South Korea and other athletes going to places that they have dual citizenship or potentially even getting citizenship for games, an event like this. And I kind of think of flag football, at least in LA, being where probably the U.S. is going to dominate. U.S. is the heavy favorite for that gold medal, but this is going to be that great display, really seeing that international expansion into sport. We see it all the time, especially what we talk about when it comes to parasport, is you usually have that one really dominant country, and then as time progresses, you get more and more countries getting exposed to the sport, and already the NFL has really tried to expand internationally with games in Brazil, games in Mexico, talks of games even in Australia. in the near future. So I think there's going to be the U.S. being the dominant favorite, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some tight games, especially from someone like Canada or maybe even a mystery country that can make it really, really interesting. But I'm going to throw this question to you first, Alex, and then to Jeff. Is there any country that you think is going to be a dark horse at the LA 28 games in flag football?
Yeah, see, so this is what is very interesting, because you see in the NFL, a lot of the players, they'll have on the back of their helmets the flag stickers representing the different countries, whether they are a dual citizenship member of another country, or if they have some sort of tie to that other country. Obviously, as Canadians, we know the small but a fairly competent contingent of Canadian players in the NFL. I think part of the challenge is a lot of the players, like, yes, there is a big wave of international players, but they're so spread out that I don't think you get a large concentration from one specific country. I think of all the other countries, the one that's probably going to have the best chance against the U.S. will be Canada, just because even thinking from a very specific position of quarterback, Jeff, you mentioned Kyler Murray. Like, unless there's some other quarterbacks who are going to be representing different countries, like, I just think Nathan Rourke for Canada is probably going to be the best bet. We could be surprised when the games actually roll around, but I think Canada's going to be the one. Jeff, what are your thoughts on the team? And also, too, I want to quickly post this. I, as a Bears fan, think that if I had to choose one player from my team to be a member of a flag football team, I think I would go with Caleb Williams. He has the escapability. He has the talent. 3 years' time, he's probably going to, I hope, be a top 5 quarterback in this league, that he could stake a claim to be on that U.S. roster. So, Jeff, what do you think? What nation do you think is going to be a dark horse, and what member of the Bills are going to be on that national team?
Okay, to put this one to rest easy, Josh Allen, MVP, come on, quarterback, mobile guy, speed, cannon of an arm, so it's got to be the Bills, Josh Allen. In terms of another nation, I think it could be Australia. Now, hear me out. I think that they have Aussie rules football. They're obviously a huge rugby nation. There are some guys who are in those international development teams that are trying to make rosters in the NFL, either as kickers, because obviously those guys can kick the ball really good. They're speedy. Some of them have great power in their legs. They can really churn. I think that Australia, if they have a flag football team, could really prove people wrong. But Alex, I think you're right. I think Canada probably is going to be number 2 if they qualify. With the CFL, there's some really good Canadians playing both in Canada and in the United States, both at collegiate and professional levels. So I think that just makes the most sense. That's where the sport is the biggest. So, to answer your question, Josh Allen, duh. And Canada, sure. But I think Australia could be a bit of a dark horse too if they qualify.
Nathan, lastly to you. You already talked about kind of the different nations and stuff, but yeah, again, your nation and your player from the Seahawks.
I think kind of piggybacking off what Jeff said there is, although we're having a real American and Canadian football lens of how we view things being in North America, Australia has Aussie rules football, but also Europe has rugby in so many different games. And when you have a sport like flag football, although football and rugby is so different, there are some similarities. But when it comes down to speed, motion, movement, you have so many interesting rugby wingers that could be a part of it. And it could really open up even a country like England to being a bit of a dark horse. But I still think Canada is going to be that second place, that kind of dark horse team. But I would not be surprised if the games matches are a lot closer than what we expect. But as for a Seahawk, because the Seattle Seahawks have gone through such transition in the last 6 months, the one guy that comes to mind is Jackson Smyth Najigba, or JSN for short. I think that he's going to be a superstar in the next couple years, really growing, really expanding, especially under the tutelage of Cooper Kupp. I think he's going to be the Seahawk that's going to be representing the U.S. come LA 2028.
Well, there we go. We have our predictions in. We've had a bit of fun here with the flag football side of things. Now let's actually get into the focus of the show, parasport. Nathan, it has been a busy one in the world of parasport. Take it away with the PSN update.
Now, the PSN update.
Canada's quest to repeat as champions begin at the Para Hockey World Championships in Buffalo with 2 emphatic victories over Germany and South Korea. Dominic Cozzolano has helped Canada find the twine on 11 of Canada's 23 goals in the round robin with 5 goals and 6 assists. Next up for the Red and White is a rematch of last year's semifinal against China, in which China brought Canada to the breaking point in a tight 2-1 win for the Canadians. Traversing to the spine of North America, Canada's women's sitting volleyball team hit the court for the first time since their historic Paralympic bronze medal in Paris at the PVPA Sitting Volleyball Zonal Championships got underway for the men and women in Denver. Canada's women opened the tournament with 2 tight losses, and Canada's men brought the fight to the Americans and Brazilians with a narrow defeat in both contests. Back on home soil, Canada's wheelchair basketball national championships tipped off in Oshawa. Quebec's dominance continued on the court, with the men's and women's crown going to La Belle Provence. Switching to para-athletics, Notwell, Switzerland hosted Canada's para-athletics crew for the WPA Grand Prix. Adding to his storied career, Brent Lakatokes won the T53 800 meter. Continuing the Canadian performances, Zachary Gringras, Shariana Hawes, Marissa Papakonstantinou, and Austin Smink all podiumed, earning multiple medals. Leaving the Alps, we arrive in Poland as Brianna Hennessy's medal collection adds gold at the ICF Canoe Sprint and Para Canoe World Cup, as she came first in the VL2 200 meter, and that's the PSN duotang.
Nathan, catch your breath. You literally took us around the world with that update. It is such a great time of year to be able to cover all these just different parasports, but it can be so overwhelming trying to just fit it all in, let alone in the PSN update. But Jeff, even on the show, this is something that we struggle with, and peel back the curtain a bit for the folks at home. It's just how hard it is trying to fit all these different sports into the scheduling of our program.
It's crazy. Just to peel back the curtain, like you said, we're trying to get Wheelchair Rugby Canada on because they have their nationals. They're in an international tournament this upcoming weekend. So they're well underway. Jeff Harris, who was named Para or Athletics Canada's Coach of the Year, coached Austin Smink. He's in Switzerland right now. So we were trying to get him on, but he's like, yeah, I have a red-eye flight from Germany and going from here to there. And it's no, just travel. Worry about your team, get the competitions out of the way. We'll get you when you come back in June. So hopefully he can come on. Same thing with Greg Stewart, friend of the show, award winner of the show. He's reached out to you, Nathan, I think that, he wants to come back on the show, and rightfully so. I mean, he is such an advocate, not only for just parasports, but for mental health in general. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so it would have been nice to get him on, but he's over in Paris, I believe, Nathan, you said, I think he's training for an event coming up and participating in an event. So, he was hard to wrangle, but once we get him on, that'll be fun. Who else do we have? Oh, Nathan, your father for Father's Day coming up. That's going to be fun. We can roast you a little bit. Get your dad on, peel back the curtain, not on parasports, but on Nathan Clement. The list goes on and on. There's para surfing, literally you name it, we will try to get it. It's just so hard to nail these things down because there is just too much going on, guys.
Absolutely. Well, and I mean, just in the update alone, I want to bring on anyone who's Nathan basically just mentioned at some point. Some we've already had, friend of the show, Brianna Hennessy, picking up more hardware. And you always want to touch base with these people, check in, see how they're doing, because there's so much happening. But it's just, it's the calendar continues to roll on. Nathan, any final thoughts on this week's parasport action before we head over to our interview?
It's really amazing just everything as Jeff and you've talked about that's going on in the world right now. And as well, there's even stuff I didn't add into the PSN update, but Haley Bennett, Nicholas Bennett's sister, just got named the head coach of the Quebec High Performance Center for swimming. So she's done a lot of work with Nicholas, but also working in Red Deer, really helping that program grow and expand in the last couple of years. So the fact that Quebec is getting her to be the head coach, to be the lead over there is really, really incredible. But there's so much going on. And kind of before we get into the interview, I have a question for Jeff. So far, we've had 50 plus episodes, and Alex and I have talked about maybe our favorite moments. Is there anything that really stands out? And is there a parasport going in that you didn't know much about, but you were so curious and just learning more and more about it?
Yeah, the first one, I think, and I think, Alex, you mentioned it, is gridiron on wheels, the wheelchair football. Like, I had no idea that existed. It's funny, my wife just randomly one day jotted down sports that she thought there could be an adaptive side. I Googled it, and there's para darts. There is anything that can be adapted will be adapted. So like there are sports still out there that we do not know about that I'm trying to get on the show. There's billiards, like anything, like it's bowling, lawn bowling. Like it is crazy to think about how many adaptive sports truly are out there, but there's just no coverage, or organizations that are promoting it enough in a specific area. We all know, how hard it is to come across parasports to begin with, let alone promote it. So that will certainly be fun. But I'd have to say a couple of the moments, at least for sure, the one moment, and it sucks that I wasn't actually able to be in that actual recording because of personal issues, but the PSN awards, I think everybody, especially Greg Stewart, like his reaction to winning an award, just kind of out of nowhere, it was just the most raw, vulnerable, and like emotional response I think we've ever had on the show. So that was a really cool moment.
Yes, definitely. That was something special, and we will have to do it again. But we'll say goodbye to you now, Jeff. We'll have you back on the next episode because you were busy gathering some interviews in the field. You'll bring it to us next episode. We'll chat with you then.
Paychecks in the mail, boys.
Well, now let's turn our attention to our interview with Ryan Straz. We Were Broncos debuted last night on AMI TV, and the series follows Ryan's journey in parasport. Here he is now to join us for a conversation. Ryan, thanks so much for joining us again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So you've had a busy last little while with the show debuting, doing a bunch of interviews, doing some really cool things as part of this opportunity, including being able to throw out the ceremonial first pitch at a Blue Jays game. What was that like?
It was exciting. I was a bit nervous. I didn't know if I was gonna throw it well. My goal is just to make it to the guy. Hopes he catches it, and then then I can forget about it and just enjoy the game.
Overall, everything you're doing is pretty exciting right now, and thank you for joining us, Ryan. As you explore the parasport world and doing a lot of interviews and really getting inside of it, what are you experiencing the media side of parasport like?
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to pick up. I mean, I've only been introduced to this side of things for 7 years. I mean, there's been people who have done this for years and years, like 30 plus years, right? And I think now more than ever, you're starting to get that media coverage, which is amazing. You get to talk about your sport, talk about your journey, but also help grow the sport and put it in the spotlight a little bit. So I think it's a lot better now than it was.
Do you feel like there's a sense in a need to kind of educate people around parasport when you are doing those interviews on those kind of major networks? Maybe they're asking questions, trying to find out a bit more about the sport itself, and you have to kind of serve as a bit of an ambassador.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I obviously can't speak for a lot of sports, but for the most part, people don't understand, certain sports, and maybe there's classification, maybe there isn't. Like sled hockey doesn't have any classifications, and people are curious as to why you were a hockey player, why aren't you on the national team already? And there's other implications there. So not a lot of people know, and it's important to try your best to educate people based on the sports that you do have knowledge of and the sports that you're pursuing.
What have you learned most about yourself throughout the filming process? And even, is there anything that you take the most pride in throughout playing these different parasports?
Yeah, I think I learned that you're never you're never too old to learn something. I mean, I'm 26 now, and a lot of these players have been playing for years on end. They're a lot older in wheelchair basketball, and so I'm just trying to soak in as much information as I can and just continue putting in the work. Throughout the filming process, I think at the beginning I was young guy, didn't know too much about the sport, but I was working hard, right? And sometimes, you need to put in the time. I mean, it took till about April till I really developed as a player and made an impression to the point where I got an invite to my first national camp this summer. So I'm just realizing that patience is very important in this Paralympic journey.
And speaking of that invite to the national camp, like there's obviously a lot of veterans who are still on that national basketball team. Was there any piece of advice or anything that you took away from some of those older veterans that kind of stuck with you and helped you kind of continue to develop your game?
Yeah, I mean, I practice with Chad Jasmine and Nick Gonchin all the time here in Calgary, and those guys are two of the best. They have a massive veteran presence on that squad, so I'm trying to soak in as much information, and a lot of it, their advice is learning by making mistakes. Right? They had to start somewhere, I have to start somewhere, so I'm going to continue making mistakes, just putting in the work, and keep pushing forward. I mean, that's all you can do is continue to put in the work, and hopefully it pays off.
Congratulations on being selected to your first camp. That's just absolutely amazing. Is there any excitement or nervousness about having that opportunity to play at that camp?
Yeah, I'm a little nervous, but again, I'm just going in with that mentality that I'm going to try and soak in as much as I can, try and learn and leave a lasting impression. I mean, whether I come out of there with a good lasting impression or not, I think I'm going to learn, grow from it, and continue to improve.
And getting back to the AMI TV show, We Were Broncos, talk a bit about like what people can expect. Give us a bit of a sneak peek for those who are eagerly awaiting the episodes to roll out.
Yeah, you get an insight into my life a little bit. A lot of people know how I ended up in a wheelchair, but not a lot of people know where I'm at now, or kind of my story before the accident, who I was as a person and who I am now. So they get a little insight as to my family life, friend life, the insight to some of the sports that I've tried and played, and some behind the scenes stories as well. So there's going to be a lot of information coming their way, but I hope everyone enjoys it.
Is there anything you're hoping people take away most from We Are Broncos?
I think just insight. I think, from my story, facing forms of adversity and having to almost restart and find a new path even to this point, right, is always finding that next open door. And so I hope people can, take some inspiration or motivation from that, in hopes that if they face adversity or they don't end up getting where they want to, that they'll be able to find that next open door and that next opportunity.
Here is a couple of fun questions for you. So one that Nathan and I have bounced around with each other recently. Do you have a favorite sport tradition or like something that maybe outside of the game itself that really like connects with you, whether it's something to do with the mascots in the stadiums or the fans, something that's traditional with sports that you love?
I might go a little unconventional with this answer, but I think rookie parties. When you're first integrated onto a team, it's your first year, it's your first time being in a high level environment, and you have to earn your spot. You have to listen to the vets and earn a roster spot, and then some of that might be involved in the rookie party. So just having good times with the guys afterwards, and just trying to be a part of the team.
Where you've played throughout your careers, is there a favorite destination or a unique destination that you've been to?
I honestly, with sport, I didn't travel too much. I went down to the States a little bit. I think playing in like small towns and those small tournaments as a kid, and just getting to be in the hotel with the guys, play mini sticks, and someone ends up crying because you get violent really fast. But just those memories in the small town tournaments, right? I think those are always going to stick with me.
And a couple of weeks ago, I was in Saskatoon covering the National Goalball Championships. I had a chance to try the Saskatchewan-style pizza. What is your take on the Saskatchewan-style pizza, Ryan?
Oh, it's for a certain type of taste, I guess. It's not really my taste, but for people of Saskatchewan, I think they love it.
And Ryan, for you, kind of going back to the Paralympic journey, what would it mean to you to qualify for the LA Games or a Paralympics?
It would be absolutely amazing, and it would show that the hard work has paid off. But I think, as an athlete, I'm sure you can attest to this, right? It's never good enough, right? It's always about winning and continuing to pursue that. So if I do crack that roster, then the next goal in mind is that medal. And then, let's say things work out, you win that medal, it's going to be, okay, what's next, right? And that continual pursuit of wanting more and trying to be a true winner.
But as we know about as athletes, it's just the journey and taking part and just leaving it all out there on the court, on the road, whatever sport you play. It's just having that opportunity to be a part of a journey. And as you mentioned, training with different members of the national team, it's that community that parasport creates that's just so incredible and so remarkable.
Exactly. It's unbeaten, right? I mean, like you said, right? It's sometimes you forget about those big wins or those big losses or whatever that looks like, but it's all about the time put in, that effort, the grueling practices and how it all paid off and what you learned from that. So, I completely agree.
What are you most looking forward to if we look forward within the next year or so? Obviously, you mentioned the national training camp. Is that kind of the big thing you're looking forward to? Are there other kind of milestones or goals or upcoming things that you have on your agenda?
Yeah, I mean, as far as sport, just going to the camp in good shape and trying to leave a lasting impression to see what comes of it. Trying out other sports as well. And, I play a little bit of golf, so I'm going to look forward to that with the summer weather coming back. And, as far as everything else, I'm going to continue speaking, sharing my story and traveling and, kind of go from there. I'm renovating a house right now, making it wheelchair accessible. So I'm, excited to gain my independence back and move out.
Do you have an ultimate dream golf partner to play with?
Oh, I mean, Tiger Woods, easily Tiger Woods, absolute legend. If I ever had the opportunity, I think that would be the best thing to ever happen.
Yeah, well, I can't fault you on that one, Ryan. I don't think you can choose a better dream partner to play with. Thank you so much for taking the time, chatting with us, sharing a bit more about kind of your journey since the last time we chatted with you, and we'll definitely be following along as your parasport journey continues.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me.
That was our conversation with Ryan Straz, all about We Were Broncos and so much more. I'm surprised, Nathan, he didn't quite have the same love for Saskatchewan pizza that I did, but hey, I guess not everyone is open to different forms of pizza the way I am.
I guess it's an acquired taste now. You had the luxury of having it at a gas station, so we don't know where he had it. Maybe if he went to the same gas station you were at, he would be in love with it. But it comes down to the basic fundamentals. Is gas station food is always the best food, as we've talked about with different guests like Devin and now with you as well. Gas station is the way to go.
Yeah, but on the serious note, I found it very interesting hearing Ryan's perspective of how he's kind of discovering the side of the media coverage around parasport, and he's kind of had to become an ambassador in such a short period of time for parasport and for wheelchair basketball, and before that it was para ice hockey, that he still was trying to navigate his own journey, trying to identify what parasport the connection for parasport in him was, and then all of a sudden being in the spotlight trying to kind of represent and be a voice for that community. Yeah,
it was very interesting. I'm so thankful for it to have a voice like Ryan in the Paralympic community that vulnerable and just open about his own journey, his own process, because he's still an athlete with dreams, with ambitions of going to LA in 2028 or a Paralympic Games. So for him just to be open about what happened with the para ice hockey team, not making that team, and now really trying to go into wheelchair basketball, but also having the opportunities to train with so many athletes and see that perspective of what it's like in a Paralympic journey. It's commendable. And just to have a voice and have someone like that who's trying to open up and show what it takes, because as we talked about, we have so many amazing guests that come on to this program, and there's so many incredible Paralympic athletes in Canada but around the world. It takes a lot, and to have leaders, to have advocates like Ryan shows what's so amazing about the para and Paralympic sporting world. Yeah, well, the world keeps rolling on, but the show must come to an end for today's episode. For Nathan, I'm Alex. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Parasport Nation. Like and subscribe to the channel to follow us now.